left yesterday. Yesterday we had learnt about the disease cycle, okay, and we had seen the different links which were there in the disease cycle. Now today we are going to study about emerging and re-emerging diseases. Okay, initially in the first lecture also I had told you about emerging and re-emerging diseases. Okay, there are various diseases which are affecting humans and which are very new. Earlier we had not heard about those diseases. They are all known as emerging diseases. Okay, so emerging diseases are new diseases which are coming up and are infecting human population. These diseases were not previously reported. Okay, so they are termed as emerging diseases. Okay, we are also today facing problems of re-emerging diseases. Re-emerging diseases means these diseases are not new ones. Okay, they were earlier also there. Okay, but in the past, because of developments in the medical field, we had somehow controlled those diseases, and they were almost, we can say, they were almost negligible. Okay, and they were not affecting human population significantly. But now, because of certain regions, because of evolution of the pathogens, these diseases are re-emerging. Okay, means they are again started infecting human population. Okay, so such type of diseases we call as re-emerging diseases. Okay, so re-emerging diseases are not new diseases, but they are old diseases. Earlier we had controlled them. Okay, but now because of certain reasons they are again raising their heads and infecting humans. Okay, so emerging and re-emerging diseases both are posing challenges for human health and wellness. Okay, so we will be looking at these emerging and re-emerging diseases. Okay, to give a brief introduction, if we look at the past 4 decades, then we see that earlier, if we look at the trend of infectious diseases from 1900s to 1980, we see a decline in the number of deaths because of infectious diseases. Okay, so in this graph you can see that in 1900 the mortality rate per 1 lakh individuals due to infectious diseases was around 500. Okay, and this number kept on decreasing except for the epidemic, okay, which was in 1917. Okay, so except for that epidemic, if you look at the trend of deaths due to infectious diseases starting from 1900, we can see that these deaths were decreasing till 1980. Okay, so we thought that we had obtained a victory over infectious diseases. Okay, and how we had obtained this victory over infectious disease? Because of development of or discovery of antibiotics, vaccines, and aggressive public health campaigns. Okay, which has helped us in controlling many infectious diseases like whooping cough, pneumonia, polio, smallpox. We all know that smallpox has been completely eradicated from our planet. Okay, we are also on the verge of eliminating polio. Okay, and we are all aware of the polio campaigns that the government runs throughout the year. Okay, throughout the year, there are campaigns for polio vaccination, and the aim of this vaccination campaign is to eradicate polio from our country. Okay, similarly, there is an organization known as World Health Organization, WHO. Okay, so WHO is promoting this polio vaccination throughout the world. Okay, they are funding for the vaccination in poor countries, okay, and also in many developing countries. Okay, so the aim of this polio vaccination campaigns is to eradicate this polio from our planet, just like we had completely eradicated the smallpox. Okay, so similarly, we are targeting one infectious disease over the by one by one, and we are trying to eradicate this infectious diseases. Okay, so if we look at the trend from 1900 to 1980s, we can see that the number of deaths due to infectious diseases has decreased significantly, and we started believing that we have gained victory over the infectious diseases. But if you look at the graph closely from 1980s onward, then we can see that there is a increase in number of death. Okay, so this inset which is shown here, okay, this inset is showing you the graph in more details from 1982. You can see that there is slight increase in number of deaths due to infectious diseases starting from 1982. Okay, so if you look at closely, then this trend of increase is further going up, even if you look at the graph beyond 2000. Okay, so this indicates that we have failed somewhere. Okay, earlier we were able to control the infectious disease deaths. Now it has started increasing. Okay, and if we look at the diseases which are causing death, then we find that there are many diseases which were old diseases, and nowadays many new diseases are also coming up. Okay, right from 1980s, many new diseases have come, okay, which are causing the increase in mortality due to infectious disease. Okay, so what are the new diseases which have come to human population from 1980s? They were AIDS, okay, they were multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, okay, then there were new pathogens like hantavirus, okay, which causes hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. We have infections of hepatitis B, C, E. Okay, then we have Ebola virus, we have Lyme disease, we have cryptosporidosis, then we have the deadly E. coli O157H7. Okay, so these all diseases, hantavirus, Ebola virus, Zika virus, Nipah virus, hepatitis virus, cryptosporidiosis. Okay, these are all new pathogens. Okay, and the diseases caused by them are new to human population. Earlier to 1982, these pathogens were not reported, okay, and they were the disease caused by them were not there. Okay, but from 1980s, these new diseases have come up. Okay, if you look at tuberculosis was earlier also present, okay, and we were able to control it to a large extent. Okay, but nowadays again the tuberculosis disease is re-emerging. Okay, why it is re-emerging? Because of development of antibiotic resistance in the tuberculosis pathogen, that is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Okay, so if you look at again the same thing, this is the data of US. Okay, and this is showing you the percentage of total US citizens death for the 10 leading causes and the 10 leading causes of death from 1900 to 2010. Okay, so you can see here, if you look at the infectious diseases, there is decrease in mortality. Okay, look at this pneumonia and influenza. In 1900s, there were 11.8% of people who were dying because of this pneumonia and influenza, which are infectious disease. Okay, if you look at 2010, only 2% of people are dying due to this. Okay, if you look at gastrointestinal disease, which is a infectious disease, okay, 8.3% people were dying earlier. Now it has not been defined here how many people are dying, but it has certainly decreased. Okay, tuberculosis, it is also an infectious disease. The percentage of people which were dying due to tuberculosis in 1900 were 11.3%. The present data is not there. Okay, but still, if you look at that, most of the infectious disease death, it has significantly been controlled. And nowadays, the death is occurring not due to infectious diseases, but due to other diseases which are not infectious, okay, but which are related to other, uh, we can say lifestyle related diseases, okay, or the modern lifestyles that we have. For example, in 1900, only 8% people were dying due to heart diseases. Nowadays, it has increased to 24%. Okay, so heart diseases are because of unhealthy lifestyle that we are living today, unhealthy food that we are taking today, and because of the pollutants which are present everywhere in the air, in the water, in the food, whatever we are taking, everything is polluted, and that is why, because of that, the heart diseases, the incidences of cancer, okay, the incidences of cardiovascular diseases, it is continuously increasing. Okay, so nowadays the deaths are due to mainly lifestyle related diseases and due to diseases which are coming up due to pollution. Okay, but infectious disease more or less we have controlled. Okay, and the new diseases or new pathogens which are causing newer infectious diseases, they are also coming up. Okay, so there are few examples which are given here. For example, a bird flu virus that was never reported before attacked humans and began to kill people in Hong Kong and Indian subcontinent. Most pathogenic avian flu, okay, which is also known as bird flu virus, is H5N1. Okay, so the bird flu virus is H5N1. 11 outbreaks of H5N1 were reported worldwide in June 2008 in 5 countries, okay, China, Egypt, Indonesia, Pakistan, and Vietnam. 65 outbreaks of this H1N1 was reported in 2006 and 55 in June 2007. Okay, these are slightly old data, but if you look at the present situation also, recently also in 2020, there was a report of outbreak of H5N1. Okay, even recently in 2021 also, just few days back, there were reports of another outbreak of this bird flu in the world. Okay, and just in our country also there was a report. Okay, so we can see that such type of viruses which were earlier not attacking humans, we say it as influenza, avian influenza, because it used to affect only humans. But now these viruses have crossed the species barrier. Okay, these are now started infecting humans also and killing humans also. Okay, that is why they are a matter of concern. Another important thing about influenza viruses are that they are spread through air. Okay, they are also airborne transmission occurs. Okay, and if if such diseases they become very uh, virulent, then probably they will be able to cause another pandemic. Okay, that is why we have to remain very cautious about these type of newer viruses, zoonotic viruses, which are infecting humans. Now although they are restricted to some areas, but anytime they can become virulent and they can cause a pandemic. Okay, so therefore a close watch needs to be kept on these type of newer pathogens. Then we have severe acute respiratory syndrome, okay, which is known as SARS. It's a viral respiratory disease of zoonotic origin, which is caused by SARS coronavirus. Okay, between 2002 November 2002 to July 2003, an outbreak of SARS in southern China caused death of 8,273. They infected 8,273 individuals and caused death of 775 uh, people. Okay, so this was the first outbreak of severe acute respiratory syndrome virus, which is the SARS virus. Okay, it is belonging to coronavirus group. That is why it is known as SARS-CoV-2. And the present pandemic that the world is facing is also the same virus, but the virus is a variant of this. That is why it is known as SARS-CoV-2. Okay, so the first outbreak which occurred in 2002 to 2003, that was of SARS-CoV-1, and nowadays whatever uh, COVID-19 pandemic that we are facing, it is the same virus which had infected in 2002, and but it's a variant. Slight changes has occurred in its genome, and it has become more virulent. Okay, and that is why its name is SARS-CoV-2. Okay, and we also uh, term it as COVID-19. Okay,
हेलो
so
सर।
it is nothing. Yes, 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 Deep.
सर 2003 में आया था तो तब पेंडेमिक क्यों नहीं हुआ?
पैंडेमिक, इट वाज ए पैंडेमिक बट इट वाज कंट्रोल्ड। ठीक है, जब ये आया था वायरस तो चाइना में स्टार्ट हुआ था, इंडिया में भी आया था, यदि आप लोगों को याद हो। मतलब आप 2002 में, आप सोचिए अप्रोक्सीमेटली कितने साल हो गए। ठीक है, शायद आप लोग होंगे तो डेफिनेटली, मगर शायद आप लोग छोटे थे इसलिए आपको पता नहीं चला। लेकिन उस समय भी इतना ही स्केर्स, इतना ही डर लोगों में था। और मेरे को याद है कि मैं ट्रैवल कर रहा था उस समय, आई थिंक फ्रॉम दिल्ली टू अहमदाबाद, एंड आई हैड सीन कंप्लीटली डेजर्टेड अहमदाबाद स्टेशन। ठीक है, और सब उस समय भी बहुत सारे लोगों को इन्फेक्ट हुआ था, मगर फिर भी ये जो वायरस था उस समय इतना विरुलेंट नहीं था। ठीक है, इट वाज नॉट दैट विरुलेंट, दैट इज व्हाई इट गॉट कंट्रोल्ड। ठीक है, ऐसा ही एक और डिजीज होता है जिसको मर्स कहते हैं, मिडल ईस्ट रेस्पिरेटरी सिंड्रोम, वो भी इसी का भाई है, कह सकते हैं। ठीक है, वो मिडल ईस्ट में ही तो, क्योंकि ये वायरस उस समय इतना विरुलेंट नहीं था, लोग इतना ज़्यादा ट्रैवल नहीं करते थे एक कंट्री से दूसरे कंट्री, इसलिए जो इसका स्प्रेड है थोड़ा लिमिटेड रह गया था, और ये एंडेमिक होके ही रह गया था चाइना में, इंडिया में। ऐसे ही इसका जो एक इसके जैसा ही वायरस है, इसका ही वेरिएंट है, वो मर्स है। ठीक है, मिडल ईस्ट रेस्पिरेटरी सिंड्रोम। ठीक है, तो वो सब क्या हुआ था, एंडेमिक होके ही रह गए थे। मिडिल ईस्ट वाला जो मिडिल ईस्ट रेस्पिरेटरी सिंड्रोम वायरस है वो सिर्फ मिडिल ईस्ट में ही रह गया था। सार्स जो है वो चाइना और इंडिया में ही होके रह गया था। ठीक है, इस समय इतना लोग ट्रैवलिंग नहीं करते थे एक कंट्री से दूसरे कंट्री। ठीक है, इसलिए वो पैंडेमिक की तरह एक कंट्री से दूसरे कंट्री में स्प्रेड नहीं हुआ और कंट्रोल हो गया। दूसरा क्या था, इसका विरुलेंस भी उस समय कम था। ठीक है, तो कंट्रोल हो गया था। मगर इसी का, क्योंकि ये वायरसेस जो होते हैं आरएनए वायरसेस हैं, दे कीप ऑन इवॉल्विंग। ठीक है, इनमें जेनेटिक शिफ्ट होता रहता है, इनके जो जीनोम है वो कंटिन्यूसली चेंज होते रहते हैं। और कई बार ऐसा हो सकता है कि कोई ऐसे वेरिएंट जनरेट हो जाए विच आर वेरी इन्फेक्टिव एंड विच आर very much adapted to human system, then they will cause a severe form of infection, like अभी जो SARS-CoV-2 virus है, it is more adapted to human cells. Okay, and it is continuously evolving. अभी भी वो evolve ही हो रहा है। तो आप देख रहे हो कि 2020 में हमने कहा कि इट इज द फर्स्ट वेव ऑफ कोविड-19, और अभी ये जो सेकेंड वेव आया है इट इज मोर इन्फेक्टिव। ठीक है, तो मोर इन्फेक्टिव कैसे हो गया, तो कोई नया वायरस नहीं आ गया, द सेम वायरस इट इज गेटिंग इवॉल्व्ड। ठीक है, उसमें म्यूटेशन होता रहता है क्योंकि आरएनए जीनोम है, तो वो हाईली प्रोन टू म्यूटेशन है। ठीक है, तो वो म्यूटेशन हो रहा है, और कोई ऐसा वेरिएंट जनरेट हो जाए जो ज़्यादा अडेप्टेड हो, ज़्यादा इन्फेक्टिव हो, तो वो नेचुरली सेलेक्ट हो जाता है। ठीक है, तो इस तरह से इसका नेचुरल सिलेक्शन चल रहा है, और दैट इज व्हाई द सेकंड वेव ऑफ कोविड इज मोर इन्फेक्टिव एंड मोर विरुलेंट, इट इज किलिंग मोर नंबर ऑफ इंडिविजुअल्स। ठीक है, तो इसका जो पहला इन्फेक्शन था वो 2002-2003 में हुआ था, और अभी ये जो सेकेंड इन्फेक्शन है सार्स कोव 2 ही है, इट हैज अकर्ड इन 2019। ओके, सो दिस इज ए न्यू डिजीज। ठीक है, इट्स ए इमर्जिंग न्यू डिजीज, इसलिए हमारे पास अभी इसके लिए अगेंस्ट वैक्सीनेशंस नहीं है, इसके अगेंस्ट स्ट्रैटेजीज नहीं है। जो भी हम कर रहे हैं वो तो रैंडम केसेस हैं, और जस्ट ट्राई करके देख रहे हैं, ये वर्कआउट हो जा रहा है। तो सबसे पहले हमने हाइड्रोक्सी क्लोरोक्विन का देखा कि किसी ने रिपोर्ट किया कि ये बहुत अच्छा इफेक्टिव प्रूव हो रहा है, तो सभी जगह वही डिस्ट्रीब्यूट हुआ। ठीक है, बाद में पता चला कि नहीं नहीं, इसको लेना ठीक नहीं है, तो फिर उसको स्टॉप कर दिया गया। अभी रेमडेसिविर के पीछे पड़ गए लोग। ठीक है, वो इफेक्टिव है ऐसा सोच के। रेमडेसिविर जो है इट्स नॉट डेवलप्ड अगेंस्ट सार्स कोव 2। ठीक है, मगर क्योंकि लास्ट रिजॉर्ट, क्योंकि वो एंटीवायरल ड्रग है, तो लास्ट रिजॉर्ट जो भी हमारे पास ड्रग अवेलेबल है वो हम लोग प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं। तो उसके पीछे अभी सभी लोग पड़ गए, लेकिन सार्स कोव 2 के लिए स्पेसिफिकली कोई ड्रग अभी डेवलप्ड नहीं है, क्योंकि इट्स ए इमर्जिंग डिजीज। ठीक है, अभी ये एक बार पैंडेमिक ओवर हो जाएगा और साथ में अभी रिसर्च चल भी रहा है। ठीक है, तो हो सकता है प्रोबेबली इन फ्यूचर वी विल बी एबल टू डेवलप सम ड्रग विच इज स्पेसिफिकली अगेंस्ट सार्स कोव 2 एंड विल बी एबल टू कंट्रोल इन्फेक्शंस। ठीक है, तो अभी ये तो हमें ये भी नहीं पता कि एग्जैक्टली ये वायरस करता क्या है। ठीक है, तो इस तरह से जो न्यू डिजीज आती है उससे डेथ्स बहुत ज़्यादा होती हैं, क्योंकि दे आर न्यू एंड वी डोंट नो हाउ दे वर्क, व्हाट इज द पैथोजेनिसिटी दे कॉज। ठीक है, एंड हाउ टू कंट्रोल देम। ओके, सो दैट इज व्हाई these इमर्जिंग डिजीजेज आर a very much concern to human health and well-being. ओके, फिर देखिए जो न्यू और जो कुछ बैक्टीरियल डिजीजेज है वो भी हैं। स्टेफाइलोकोकस बैक्टीरिया है, इट हैज बिकम रेजिस्टेंट टू the existing antibiotics which we have. Okay, that is why they are also causing newer infections. Then there is a fatal brain disease, Creutzfeldt-Jakob syndrome. Okay, it was identified in United Kingdom and is probably transmitted from beef to animals. Okay, if you are listening to news just 2-3 days back, there was a news that this particular Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is again started spreading in Canada, and there were 47 cases of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in Canada. ठीक है, जस्ट 2-3 डे बैक्स, कुछ दिन पहले ये न्यूज़ थी कि क्रूट्सफेल्ड-जैकोब डिजीज का जो वेरिएंट है, अगेन इट हैज स्टार्टेड स्प्रेडिंग इन Canada, and 47 people have already got infected with this, and probably 8 people have also died. Okay, so these type of disease, अब ये Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease is not caused by any pathogen. Okay, it's a prion disease. ठीक है, it's not, prion is a protein. ठीक है, it's a infectious protein. ये जो इन्फेक्शियस प्रोटीन है ये एनिमल्स में से ह्यूमंस में स्प्रेड हो सकता है, और उसके बाद ये प्रोटीन मिसफोल्डिंग इंड्यूस कर देता है हमारे नर्व सेल्स में। ठीक है, हमारे नर्व सेल्स में कुछ प्रोटीन्स होते हैं मेम्ब्रेन में जो ऑलरेडी प्रेजेंट होते हैं, और ये जो प्रायोन प्रोटीन है उनकी फोल्डिंग को इफेक्ट कर देता है और डिजीज कर देता है। ठीक है, तो ये भी एक न्यू डिजीज है, इसको कंट्रोल करना कैसे है ये भी हमारे लिए एक चैलेंज है। अभी हमें पता ही नहीं है उसके बारे में बहुत, कि क्योंकि ये कोई इन्फेक्शियस एजेंट जो है वो प्रोटीन है। ठीक है, इट्स नॉट ए लिविंग ऑर्गेनिज्म। ठीक है, इवन वायरस भी नहीं है। ठीक है, इट्स अ प्रोटीन विच इज प्रेजेंट ऑलरेडी इन अवर ब्रेन। ठीक है, बस इसको मिसफोल्ड करने का इंड्यूस करना है। ठीक है, तो इस तरह के जो डिजीजेज होते हैं, और ये सीधा नर्वस सिस्टम हमारे ब्रेन को ही इफेक्ट करता है, तो इसको कंट्रोल करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट रहता है। ठीक है, तो इस तरह की बहुत नई डिजीजेस आ रही हैं ह्यूमंस में। ठीक है, फिर आप देखिए बहुत सारे, ये तो नई डिजीजेस की बात हुई, कुछ ऐसे डिजीजेस जो पहले कंट्रोल हो गए थे वो भी अब रीइमर्ज हो रहे हैं। उसका एग्जांपल जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंट ट्यूबरक्लोसिस। ठीक है, मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंट ट्यूबरक्लोसिस, तो ये जो ट्यूबरक्लोसिस का बैक्टीरियम है, माइकोबैक्टीरियम ट्यूबरक्लोसिस, okay, it has now become resistant to number of different antibiotics which were earlier used to control them. Okay, तो आप देख सकते हैं आजकल ये मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंस टीबी किनको होता है, तो जनरली एचआईवी पेशेंट्स या इम्यूनो कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड पेशेंट्स होते हैं, उनमें ये जो मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंट ट्यूबरक्लोसिस की इन्फेक्शंस बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ रही है। ओके, और ये जो मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंट ट्यूबरक्लोसिस के जो पैथोजन है, it is resistant to, see here, many different antibiotics. That is why a combination of 7 different antibiotics is given for treatment of MDR TB. Okay, so what are these combination? We call this combination as SRES. Okay, it includes streptomycin, isonicotyl hydrazine, rifampicin, ethambutol, pyrazinamide, मॉक्सीफ्लॉक्सासिन, साइक्लोसिरिन। ओके, इतने एंटीबायोटिक्स का कॉकटेल बनाया जाता है और ये एडमिनिस्टर किया जाता है मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंट ट्यूबरक्लोसिस को कंट्रोल करने के लिए। ठीक है, तो इतने की ज़रूरत क्या है, हम ये सारे ड्रग दे देते हैं एक साथ मिक्स करके और सोचते हैं कि इनमें से कोई तो एक होगा जो इफेक्टिव प्रूव होगा। ठीक है, आप सोचिए इतने ड्रग का कॉकटेल दिया जाए, इसमें से हो सकता है कि एक ड्रग या दो ड्रग या इनकी कॉम्बिनेशन इफेक्टिव हो, मगर बाकी के ड्रग्स का साइड इफेक्ट कितना होगा। ठीक है, तो मगर फिर भी हमारे पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है, इसलिए हम इस तरह की ट्रीटमेंट दे रहे हैं। ठीक है, और फिर भी कई बार मल्टी ड्रग रेजिस्टेंट होने के कारण ये जो ट्यूबरक्लोसिस वायर बैक्टीरियम है, ये जो है एस्केप कर जाता है इन ड्रग ट्रीटमेंट को और इन्फेक्शन को फर्दर स्प्रेड करता है। ओके, तो these type of emerging and re-emerging diseases have become a matter of concern nowadays. Okay, और इसके खिलाफ जो लड़ाई है, this war between the pathogens and humans is continuously going on. Okay, now in many countries there are agencies which are looking out or which are carrying out the work of surveillance, the planning, how to control the diseases, and making people aware about the different diseases. Okay, so there are agencies which are doing this. Okay, for example, in US, the agency which is assigned with the task of surveillance of diseases, finding out measures to control the disease, and running public health campaigns, it is known as Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. ओके, तो अमेरिका में जो एजेंसी है जो ये काम करती है, जिसको हम लोग एपिडेमियोलॉजिकल वर्क कहते हैं, ये कौन करता है? इसको सेंटर्स फॉर डिजीज कंट्रोल एंड प्रिवेंशन करके एक एजेंसी है, वो करती है, सीडीसी। ओके, वर्ल्ड लेवल पे ये काम WHO, वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करता है। ओके, सिमिलरली हर कंट्री में देखोगे तो अपना उसका खुद का एक कोई ना कोई मिनिस्ट्री होगी। फॉर एग्जांपल ह्यूमन इंडिया में हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री जो है, उसका हेल्थ एंड पब्लिक वेलफेयर की जो मिनिस्ट्री है, उसका काम ये है कि डिजीजेस को मॉनिटर करते रहना, डिजीजेस का स्प्रेड कैसे हो रहा है, जो भी एपिडेमियोलॉजिकल वर्क है वो करना, और फिर पब्लिक अवेयरनेस कैंपेन्स चलाना, वैक्सीनेशन प्रोग्राम चलाना, ये सब काम कौन कर रहा है? तो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ एंड फैमिली वेलफेयर। ओके, तो सिमिलरली अमेरिका में जो एजेंसी है वो सेंटर फॉर डिजीज कंट्रोल एंड प्रिवेंशन है, वर्ल्ड लेवल पे वर्ल्ड हेल्थ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। तो हर कंट्री में इस तरह की एक एजेंसी होती है। ठीक है, ये कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स यहाँ दिए हुए हैं, इस पिक्चर में आप दे सकते हो। यहाँ पे कुछ न्यूली इमर्जिंग डिजीजेज, री इमर्जिंग डिजीजेज, ठीक है, और डेलिबरेटली इमर्जिंग डिजीजेज। ठीक है, डेलिबरेटली, डेलिबरेटली मीन्स ह्यूमंस के कारण, ह्यूमंस मिस्टेक के कारण कई बार कुछ डिजीजेज स्प्रेड हो जाती हैं। ठीक है, तो उनको हम लोग डेलिबरेटली इमर्जिंग डिजीजेस कहते हैं। ठीक है, तो देख लीजिए न्यूली इमर्जिंग डिजीज के नाम भी आपको यहाँ से मिल जाएंगे। फॉर एग्जांपल हैंटा वायरस पल्मोनरी सिंड्रोम, देखिए कहाँ पे स्प्रेड है ये। ठीक है, तो साउथ अमेरिका में। फिर यू हैव ब्यूबोनिक वायरस, यू हैव H1N1 इन्फ्लुएंजा, यू हैव क्रिप्टोस्पैराडोसिस, cyclosporiasis, you have E. coli O157H7, you have enterovirus D68. Okay, then you have cryptosporidiosis, you have MERS-CoV, then you have Bunya virus, you have E. coli O157H7. Okay, similarly you have H7N9 influenza, H5N1 influenza. Okay, so many different new emerging viruses name have been given, and they are causing their diseases. Okay, we have Nipah virus, okay, which had infected Indonesia, which had recently infected in India also. Okay, then we have Hendra virus, you have human monkeypox, Ebola virus, Central Africa में है। ठीक है, ये जीका वायरस सेंट्रल अफ्रीका में और ब्राज़ील में बहुत ज़्यादा इफेक्ट किया था उसने। Okay, so these are all emerging diseases. We have certain re-emerging diseases also, which is because of resistance of development of antibiotic resistance among the pathogens that are causing those diseases. We have typhoid, we have Rift Valley fever, we have multi-drug resistant malaria, we have dengue, we have multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. Okay, so many different type of re-emerging diseases are also there. Then if you look at deliberately emerging diseases, there is one example which is shown here, and it is in America, that is of anthrax bioterrorism. Okay, so people are developing certain pathogens as bioweapons, okay, so that they can use those disease causing pathogens to spread diseases in other countries. Okay, and sometimes those bioweapons, they get leaked from the laboratories and they cause the disease. Okay, so this anthrax, which is caused by Bacillus anthracis. Okay, so these Bacillus anthracis is being developed as a bioweapon. Even it is thought that this SARS virus is being developed as a bioweapon. Okay, so America has set up many laboratories across the world to develop many deadly pathogens as bioweapons, which they are probably planning to use in case of any warfare. Okay, so sometimes accidentally those viruses or bacteria or pathogens, they get leaked out from those laboratories and they cause diseases in the nearby area. Okay, so this is about the different type of emerging, re-emerging and deliberately emerging diseases. Okay, now let us look at the various factors which are leading to development of these type of emerging and re-emerging diseases. Okay, so these factors are listed here. You can see population growth is the most important factor. Okay, population growth. Because of population growth, people are living in very congested areas in cities. You can see that in cities, the population density is very high, and that is promoting the spread of new diseases. Okay, then there are population shifts. People from different areas are moving to newer areas, and when they are moving, they are bringing new diseases which were earlier restricted to a particular area. Now, because people are moving, they are shifting these newer diseases to newer areas. Okay, then increased international travel. Okay, that I pointed out that this same SARS virus was SARS virus had affected humans in 2002, 2003 also, but this time when it has infected human, it has become a pandemic because of increased international travel. Okay, its outbreak occurred in China. Okay, and because they did not inform anyone for months together, people from China were traveling to other countries and they carried with them the virus and spread it across the world. Okay, so this international travel has contributed a lot in making a disease which were earlier endemic, converting them to pandemic. Okay, then increased worldwide transport, which is because of commerce, because of migration, relocation of animals and food products. They are also contributing to spread of disease. Okay, then there are other factors also, changes in food processing, handling and agricultural practices, changes in human behavior, technology, industry, human encroachment of wilderness habitats. Okay, so you know that many forests are being cut, okay, and people are occupying those forest area for their own inhabitation, and the back the pathogens which were restricted to those forests, they are now infecting humans. Okay, so we know example of this Amazon rainforest being cut. Okay, and Amazon rainforest are known for its rich biodiversity. There are so many species of insects, animals, plants which are residing there. Okay, now because we are cutting it very fast, these viruses and pathogens of these insects and animals which are residing there, which were earlier restricted to those areas, they are now coming and infecting humans also. Okay, so other thing is microbial evolution. We are using antibiotics over the counter. We are getting it. We are using it indiscriminately without thinking about the problems they can create. Okay, and because of this indiscriminate use and free use of antibiotic, many pathogens are developing resistance. Okay, and this problem of drug resistance is very aggravated in our country. Okay, so many antibiotic resistant pathogens are coming up. Okay, then changes in ecology and climate, modern medicine, which causes immunosuppression. They are also leading to development of disease in immunocompromised patients. Then inadequacy of public infrastructure and vaccination program, social unrest and civil wars, the possibility of bioterrorism, okay, and virulence enhancing mechanisms of pathogen. Okay, they are also this is a natural process which is continuously occurring, and because of these newer and newer diseases are coming up. Okay, then there are a few other things which have been mentioned here, which are reasons for increase in emerging and re-emerging diseases. They are the same things that we had earlier discussed, but you can have a look at this. Economic or military forces that cause population shifts create fertile grounds for disease to emerge and spread. Okay, then changes in human behavior, whether it's sexual practices, the use of intravenous drugs, or food preference affect microbial spread. Okay, then food practices, which include handling, cutting, refrigeration, and other treatments to maintain quality, also disseminate pathogenic microorganisms and select for those that grow under these restrictive conditions. Then population density increase in cities that we had already discussed, land development, then global warming that is causing many pathogens to spread to newer areas like malaria and dengue. They were earlier restricted to only tropical areas like countries like Africa, India. Okay, but because the global temperature is increasing, the dengue and malaria have now spread to European countries also. Okay, earlier because of low temperatures in European countries, the mosquito were not able to grow. But because of increase in global temperature, now the mosquitoes are able to grow in these countries also, and they have spread the diseases of dengue and malaria to European countries also. Okay, then mass migration and modern therapeutics that we have already discussed. Okay, so these are the reasons for spread of emerging and re-emerging diseases. Okay, so one of the most important diseases is the bird flu, or we say that swine flu. Bird flu is H5N1. Okay, and the swine flu is H1N1. Okay, so as I was telling you that because of population growth, okay, so people are living in very congested areas. Okay, and this is causing the evolution of pathogen. Okay, so an example of how influenza virus is evolving, okay, and how newer and newer variants of this influenza virus is getting generated, and how it is crossing the species barrier, okay, and is infecting human hosts is very interesting to study. Okay, for example, you can see nowadays people are doing a lot of bird farming. Okay, at the same time they are doing farming of these pigs for their food. ओके सो बहुत सारे लोग चिकन फार्मिंग करते हैं, सिमिलरली वो लोग पिग की भी फार्मिंग करते हैं, ठीक है, क्योंकि ये दोनों खाने में यूज होता है ह्यूमंस के। अब जब ये लोग चिकन फार्मिंग और पिग फार्मिंग करते हैं, तो जो लोग ये फार्मिंग करते हैं वो हमेशा बर्ड्स या फिर पिग्स के साथ एक्सपोज्ड रहते हैं, ठीक है। अब बर्ड्स में जो इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस इन्फेक्ट करता है उसको हम लोग एवियन इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस कहते हैं, ठीक है। तो ये एवियन इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस केवल बर्ड्स में इफेक्ट करता है, ठीक है। मान लो कि ह्यूमंस और बर्ड्स एक दूसरे के बहुत पास रहते हैं, तो ह्यूमंस में जो इन्फेक्ट करेगा इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस वो ह्यूमन इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस है, ठीक है। यदि ये दोनों एक दूसरे के पास रहते हैं तो क्या हो सकता है, ह्यूमन को मल्टीपल इन्फेक्शन हो सकता है ह्यूमन इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस और डक इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस का, ठीक है। अब डक इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस डायरेक्टली ह्यूमंस के सेल्स में इन्फेक्ट तो नहीं करेगा, बाई चांस ये बर्ड्स के थ्रू ह्यूमंस के रेस्पिरेटरी ट्रैक में आ गया तो क्या होता है, ये दोनों वायरसेस जब अनकोट होते हैं सेल के अंदर तो इनका जो आरएनए जीनोम होता है ये मिक्स हो जाता है, ठीक है। इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस में जो जीनोम होता है वो सेगमेंटेड जीनोम होता है, 8 सेगमेंट्स होते हैं जीनोम के, ठीक है। तो 8 डिफरेंट छोटे छोटे आरएनए सेगमेंट्स होते हैं वायरसेस में। ये दोनों का जीनोम यदि एक ही सेल में चला गया तो हो सकता है कि जब वायरस के जीनोम की असेंबली हो तो इसमें ह्यूमन इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस के 4 सेगमेंट्स और डक इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस के 4 सेगमेंट्स एक साथ असेंबल हो जाएं तो वायरस क्या हो जाएगा? इट विल बी modified. It will have partial genome of duck influenza virus and partial genome of human influenza virus. Okay, so such type of virus which has now got genetically modified. Okay, we have not modified it, but naturally it has got modified because it has got some segments of RNA genome from the duck influenza virus. Such viruses may now acquire new abilities. Okay, and they may be able to infect humans very efficiently. Okay, तो इस तरह के जो evolution होता है इसको हम लोग genetic shifts कहते हैं. They are major changes in the genome of the virus which may give it additional abilities or newer abilities to infect a new host which is human. Okay, similarly ऐसा हो सकता है कि यदि मान लो pig भी साथ में है तो pig को multiple infection हो जाए बर्ड इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस का, ह्यूमन इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस का, और उसके अंदर खुद स्वाइन इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस है ही. ठीक है, तो इतने वायरसेस का यदि एक साथ इन्फेक्शन एक ही सेल में होगा तो उनके जीनोम के मिक्स हो जाने की प्रोबेबिलिटी बढ़ जाएगी. ठीक है, और उससे न्यू वायरस इमर्ज होगा विच विल बी एबल टू इन्फेक्ट न्यूअर होस्ट एंड प्रोबेबली ह्यूमंस ऑल्सो एंड विल बी एबल टू cause the disease which were earlier restricted to birds and pigs now to humans. Okay, so this is influenza virus. Studying influenza virus is very important. Similar is the case of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Okay, these were earlier restricted to animals, and now they have started infecting humans because they have a RNA genome. Okay, they have even influenza virus has a RNA genome. They have higher rate of mutation, and because of these higher rate of mutations, some variants of SARS-CoV-2 may develop, which may be more infective, and that is what is happening presently. Okay. After that, we have a few different type of infections which are known as healthcare associated infections or HAIs. Okay, healthcare associated infections are those infections which result from pathogens which are acquired by patients while treatment in healthcare facilities. Okay, so suppose you have got some disease and you get admitted to a hospital. In the hospital, you may acquire newer diseases. Okay, and such diseases which a patient acquires from the hospital or healthcare associated facilities, they are known as healthcare associated infections. Okay, or we call them as nosocomial infections. Okay, so this term is very important, nosocomial. Okay, nosocomial means healthcare associated infection. So those diseases that we acquire from hospital or we can say healthcare associated agencies or places, they are known as nosocomial infections. Okay, so these are the various examples of diseases, okay, of pathogens actually, which are acquired, which a patient can acquire from hospitals. Okay, you can have ventilator associated pneumonia. There are so many different type of bacteria which remain associated with ventilators, and if the ventilator is not properly cleaned or sterilized before uh, applying it or using it for a new patient, then these particular type of bacteria can get transmitted to the patient and they can cause disease. Similarly, these are bacteria which are transmitted through bloodstream. Okay, and if equipments which are used in collecting blood or say transfusing something into the bloodstream, okay, if they are not properly sterilized, these bacteria can get entry into patient and they can cause diseases. Similarly, intestinal tract and liver infecting pathogens are there. You have in pathogens which cause urinary tract infection. Okay, so if catheters are used, they have to be properly sterilized. Okay, and then there are surgical sites through which different type of bacteria can infect healthy individuals. Okay, so these all type of infections which are known as nosocomial infections, they are acquired through the healthcare facilities. Okay, so students, I will stop here. And in the next lecture, we will discuss control of epidemics. What are the steps that should be taken if you want to control the epidemic? Okay, so I will stop here. Thank you for attending.